What up, witches?
It's the Andy and Remington Steel Show on your screens tonight. It's the Andy and Remington Steel Show for your home delight. We're talking about Age of Sigmar and anything else that is cool. Talking about Warhammer Fantasy, it's easy to learn the rules. Andy and Remington, Andy and Remington, Andy and Remington Show.
Welcome, one and all. It's time once again for the Andy and Rem Show. This time, episode 155 Witch Hunters on the Horizon. And of course, as usual, I'm joined by the Witch Hunter enthusiast, Witch Hunter connoisseur, Remington Steele. Will be revealed now. Hello there.
Salutations.
Now, what on earth is going on? The blinds are
Oh.
open, but what's that coming in through the window? It's not darkness.
It's light and it's actually snowing outside. It's a strange mixture of sunshine and snow coming down. All weird things happening in the realm of Earth, I guess. Speaking of realms, Andy, you sent me an interesting link. I only got halfway through it, but it was a video talking all about the realms.
I did, and that was going to be relevant to something we're doing later on. Thought you
Cool.
could do your research for that.
Nice. Well, I did half of it, my research, but
Well,
what's
that's
this
all you
about
need, really.
Witch Hunters? This was completely out of the blue. You sent me a message saying they've got new Witch Hunters out, and I was thinking, fantastic. Is this a new faction? And then I read it, and then it was like, okay, these are like add-ons to Cities of Sigmar. Hopefully, there's rules for them. I don't know. I mean, I was hoping there'd be a new faction, but
We can wildly speculate all we want on that very shortly.
right.
But first of all, we should tell people that in case Mr. Remington says anything maybe a little bit unusual tonight, I think there are circumstances that could explain that. Do you want to tell us what's been going on that could have rendered you less than optimal in your performance levels?
Basically, the anesthetic is slowly wearing off, and I can feel my mouth, and I can talk a little bit. I haven't been able to speak for the last 4 hours. I had some major dental work. Hadn't been to the dentist for quite a while, and so I had to pull a wisdom tooth out and do a lot of scraping. And you don't want to know, but yes, my teeth look pretty cool now, or at least that side. But they're going to do that side next.
They're not
So
going to do
yeah,
that on a Tuesday as well, are they?
next Monday they're doing that. Yeah, yeah. It was snowing in Stockholm, says Roshi, and he pre-ordered his Curse City box. You know what? I had my hand over the button of Curse City to order it, Andy, because that's what I was going to do. And I pressed the button, and it says, "Oh, you have to sign in to your Games Workshop account." So then, okay, and I couldn't remember my password, so I pressed the reset password. No link appeared, and no email received. Did it all over again. No email received. And then I just tried signing in as just a nobody, and it was sold out. So there you go. That was my Curse City experience.
So you'll learn for next time. Make sure you're already logged into the Games Workshop website if you're trying to pre-order something.
Oh, it just sucked, man. I mean, I could check my emails now, and I'm just gonna do that. No, this will just briefly take seconds. No, still no email from Games Workshop with a password reset. So,
Did you check your spam folder?
uh, let's check my spam folder. That's a good point, Andy. Spam. Can't see anything from Games Workshop in the spam folder either.
Well, Remington versus Technology, the latest chapter.
No, nothing. I got completely skanked then. So yeah, I might put in a complaint. But I think I can should in a couple of weeks' time, when things open up here, I'll be able to pop down to Warhammer World. I'm sure there'll be a box waiting for me.
I'm sure you'll be able to get your hands on one somewhere. There's still going to be opportunities. They put limited amounts in all the shops, don't they? And the shops are opening up again, as you can see on the screen right now. Because just before we went on the air, in fact, this popped up. Warhammer stores across England and Wales reopening soon. No mention of Scotland. Any Scottish people out there? So they've even got this lovely little picture of clearly Space Marine, and then look at this big giant outside as well. I don't know if he's going to fit through the door, but the Goblin with all the boxes, of course, fully masked up. Got to be sensible in these turbulent times. But the shops are opening again, and they've got limited special collectible coins for people.
Andy, I had to. Last time I went to Games Workshop in Leicester, I said, "What's new then?" And he started showing me these coins. I'm like, "Well, what's the point of these then?" And he said, "Well, they're like limited edition coins." I said, "Yeah, but they look like they're made of plastic." And he went, "Yeah." I says, "What can you do with them then?" "Well, they're collectible." I was like, he didn't sell them very well to me, to be fair. So yeah, I don't know. Are these any good? Anyone in the chat? What do you think? Are these something you'd be into?
Do you think if maybe they had a big display board you could put them on your wall, slot them into, that'd be more of a selling feature for you?
I don't know. Look, if they were like Bitcoin and they just kept going up in value, right? Then yeah, I'm all in. But I don't know what the function of these are.
Well, they must do
using
well
the
if they
game?
keep creating them, so I think we should actually do limited Andy and Rem themed coins.
Well, the A, you got the A there already, haven't you? The Lumineth one. You'd use that, and then an R. Or you could have Andy on one side, a Remington on the other. That could definitely be usable, right? Because whenever you say flip a coin, is it Andy or Rem? Is it Andy Palooza or Remcon? Flip
Yeah,
a
if you're ever
coin.
stuck on what to do in life, you've got to go one way or the other. There's a fork in the road. You flip the coin, and whoever it lands on, you just do whatever they would do.
Absolutely. So yeah, maybe there's value in that, but is there valuable in Captain Uriel Ventro? I'm not so sure.
Also, this. Choose any 10 paint pots, get one free.
So 10 paint pot, that's like £30, so free. It's like a 10% discount basically.
Now,
Yeah.
on most GW products, I wouldn't consider this in any way useful. Because if I was going to buy, for example, regular models, if I was going to buy that many, I'd probably end up going through some kind of third-party seller anyway, so there'd already be a discount applied. But paint pots are the one thing that are sometimes difficult to get from other places. Not everywhere carries the full range sometimes, and I end up going on eBay quite a lot for paints. So for
Really?
GW paints, I
I've
often
got a
actually
whole
go into the
bunch
GW
that
store
are
for them.
drying out, man.
I go for the technical paints from GW.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I like the paints. I've just got a whole bunch that are dried out though, so I'm trying to put them all together. But yeah, this could be cool. I'm sure I've got about 10 that I need. I could do with. Yeah, I like these big wash paints. I think they've been a big hit because I've not really run out of any of the big pots.
Have you knocked any
Yeah.
of them over yet?
I've not the small ones over. But I use these trays. You see, if you can see that or not. You see that?
We're just waiting for your video to catch up.
Yeah, I
There we
use
go.
these trays for all my paint, so I've got them lined up.
I keep all my big juicy washes in these. So whichever three I'm using at any given time, they just live in
To
there.
work okay.
So they're not going to fall over. It looks like the Remington internet is playing up here. And if he manages to get booted from his internet, then it's going to greatly disrupt the layout of the show as well, because it's all a very finely tuned machine. So, just in case, I'm going to bring up this technical difficulties sign and wait for him to come back. Oh, there he is.
I don't know what's happening.
I think your internet is awful. This world-beating internet that you allegedly had.
Oh,
This massive upgrade.
I think it's me. I've had playing Vermintide, and
Yes, we think it's you as well.
it's so annoying, Andy. I'm meant to have like super duper internet, man.
Well, we can actually see you now. You're just in slightly lower resolution, which is fine.
Sucks.
Anyway, Brandon says that poor hamster. Yes, so the hamster powering whatever part of your technical setup is letting you down. It's being sadly overworked at the moment.
Oh, okay. This might be better now.
What did you do?
It had some like data use limit on various programs, so I've removed all of them.
So what you're saying is that all these internet issues you've been having could have been
Yeah.
solved with 3 clicks of your mouse months ago.
Yes, it seems so, but luckily I had the nous to find and solve the problem within seconds. So
Within seconds of it happening on the 87th occasion. Anyway, so GW stores opening up again.
excited.
Excited?
Where's your nearest one, Andy?
My nearest store would either be Warhammer World or one in the middle of Nottingham isn't very far away.
Right. Is there another shop that sells Warhammer stuff in Nottingham that isn't Games Workshop?
There probably is, but I'm not aware of any yet. I haven't exactly been able to explore this city particularly yet.
Have you? You literally moved there, and then the pandemic struck.
I've been here in the middle of the pandemic is when I moved here, so I haven't been able to go out into the city and look around at shops. Whether they'd be even open or not is questionable for most of that time as well.
Well, the one time you went out, you went on that demonstration, didn't you? And that's
That
where
is
that
correct.
where that
All-
banner's from in the background.
Yes, all the other times I've been out have been for essential food purchases.
So you literally moved to Nottingham and rolled a 1, basically.
I think the world rolled a 1, and then I moved to Nottingham. Is the way I'd look at it. So
You could have been king of the gaming scene, couldn't you?
I
Throughout the
still
land.
can be. And as soon as all the shops are open again, I'm sure I'm going to be heading off down to Warhammer World, looking around, maybe buying one small item after being in there for an hour.
Now,
and
Andy,
leaving.
you've proven that you are podium material in Kings of War, having finished on the podium, second place, and maybe a first or third place thrown in there every time you enter a tournament. Now, can we transfer that winning streak into Age of Sigmar, do you think? Is that part of your plan? You're in the heartbeat of Warhammer. Heartbeat
Being
of the world.
in the hub of the War Games world, there is always the possibility that I could attend a lot more events for various game systems. So, you never know. Succeed in one game, why not others?
I think when things open up, you should just absolutely go mental for 6 months. Just, you know what I mean? Become a tournament machine.
We'll see about that. When are you going to become a tournament machine?
When I learn the rules properly, that would help, wouldn't it? But I don't know. Is it addictive going to tournaments?
I
you
would
think?
say the main thing it affects is your casual gaming experience. I find that when I'm playing a game that's not in a tournament, I don't care at all if I win or lose. If it's a practice game or a fun game, then there is no incentive in my mind to try and win that game. I'll try and make moves that I think are good, but then if the dice roll terribly, then there's not any despair, because I think, well, it didn't happen in a tournament, so that's fine.
Yeah.
So that's the main thing it affects for me, and that's it really. I don't think actual attending the tournaments in itself is addictive for me. I know some people go to, or went to, before they were all cancelled, a lot more tournaments than I did. But you're very much a casual gamer,
Oh,
and have
definitely,
been.
man. definitely. Uh, I like wonderfully painted miniatures. I like amazing scenery. I like to photograph the table. I like a really nice sort of scenario behind the game. For example, um, you know, got a huge Cities of Sigmar army now when you count all the models. And so what I'd like is a witch hunter faction, which is basically devoted of Sigmar plus witch hunters and great swordsmen. I think that'd be really good, just like like the Pope's retinue or something, or the Archlector's retinue, and that's like an army. I think that'd be
Well,
amazing.
one last stop before we get to Witch Hunter Town.
Yeah.
Boom. So, as we're looking at this, let me just go over here to my soundboard for a bit of
Remington's Millions.
There you go.
Oh yeah.
Talk us through this.
Look at that, Andy. You can see the dotted line. That's where Remington invested something like £9.20. That's 0.1 shares. Games Workshop shares. And you can see I patiently held on. And today was a bit of a bumper day. You could see that the stock price shot up. And so look what patience rewards you with. It's now trading at £103.22. So that's there's a 10% increase, something
So
like
you've
that.
shot up like 20 pence or something overnight.
I can tell you exactly.
Just think what you could buy with that. If only you had
Yeah.
more than 0.1 share.
Well, I'm actually 13% up, so it's £1.18 up.
Wow.
That's pretty good. The thing is, right? I mean, it doesn't sound like a lot, but if you'd invested a few £1,000s, right, then it's like decent, then, isn't it? A few £100s you've made. So, and how long did I have to wait for that? Well, a month ago it hit a £92, so just a month. But there you go. I've made what I made before, and now I'm just doing this for fun, really.
Well then,
So there you go.
that was
Obviously,
this
people are
week's
looking-
edition of
Remington's Millions.
Here we go.
Yeah, people obviously looking forward to things opening up again, right? And that's what happened there.
Shall we look at a video in silence?
Go on.
I think that's what people want to do, isn't it?
Well, can we? I like when we do the voiceovers over it.
Okay, let's do that.
Yeah, okay, go on. Do your witch hunter voice.
They don't have that Witch Hunter voice, they'll be unique characters. In the realms. Witches, beware, we're gonna get ya.
Oh, it's a father and daughter duo. That means he's bound to get killed at some point.
Yes, daughter, take this gigantic crossbow.
Yeah, it's like no way she can like really practically use that thing while he's got the little pistol. Surely they should swap weapons.
I don't know, he could be old and frail. She could
Yeah,
be
but
young
he-
and strong.
He likes holding the torch.
So
He's
let's have a look
carrying
at
the
this
torch.
guy. So a bit of a mustache going on there.
Galen Van Dent. He looks
Yes.
quite imperial, doesn't he? Imperial.
Do you know what? I don't like the name Ven Dent. I think if it was Von or Van Denst, I would like it a bit more. But not Ven Denst. It's like it doesn't sound right to me. What do you
No.
think?
I'm not so sure either. They're not so catchy, these names, are they? Really?
No, it's not that catchy a name, but catchy models. Yes.
Yeah, fantastic. He's got everything you want from Witch Hunter. He's got the silver bullet. Well, I'm presuming they're silver. He's got the stake. He's got the great sword, and he's got a large knife/short sword there.
And
Do you notice something I don't think many people have noticed? Do you see his breastplate, Andy? His breastplate covers his neck, which is obviously very useful if you're a vampire hunter, right?
that is a nice touch, actually. That's probably the number one place you don't want to be attacked if you're against a swarm of vampires.
Yeah. It would have been nice if he, topped that off with a necklace made of garlic.
Maybe he's got one like a garlic woven undershirt.
Right. Yes. But yeah, it's definitely a thumbs up from me. A thumbs up from Andy.
Yes. Now let's have a look at his daughter, Dorelia. So she has the option of wearing a hat as well, which we'll look at in a second. But this gigantic crossbow, at first look, you'd think that's comically oversized as a crossbow, but it looks like it's firing a giant stake rather than a typical crossbow bolt.
It is really. I don't think anyone would like to be on the end of that for sure.
Yeah, so if you're a vampire and you're just doing some kind of primal battle roar in the middle of the town square, and then this is just like lined up, and suddenly there's this stake hurtling towards your heart.
Now, one thing we haven't addressed, Andy, because I think last week we looked at the new, is it the Grave Lords faction that's coming out? Didn't we saw the Black Knights and whatnot. What happens if you kill the head vampire? Do we have a sort of a disintegration rule again? Do all the undead start, dying out because there's no one to control them, or a necromancer? So if that's true, I don't know if it will be, but if it is true, it makes sense that you've got this one shot kill kind of vibe rather than a smaller repeater crossbow.
I would suggest that these two are probably more, rather than necessarily always going into battle, they're more like delving through crypts looking for the tombs of the vampires.
I see. Yes, and now I believe she has got optional headgear as well.
Yes,
I think she comes with the classic full hat as well.
there is the option for the classic witch hunter hat.
Yeah, I think I prefer that one myself.
It does hide a lot of the face, so I like that they give you the option.
Yeah, yes, I still like it.
It's the classic. I would prefer as well for the other one to be given the option of a hat.
Yeah, I don't think these come with rules at the moment, unless there are rules in the battle tome.
I don't think they have yet, but he's got options for putting weapons in different hands and leaving out the torch.
Yes, oh cool.
Yeah, so you do have some options with them, which is nice. Because you do get a lot back in the day you had a lot of kits where you did get options with them. And then in more recent years, they moved on to this like where the computer would slice things up so precisely that you would have like half of someone's face on the same piece as the arm. So you didn't have as much customization unless you were chopping things off.
Yeah.
So I like it when you have options.
Now, Andy, I do believe there's a lot of backstory behind these two characters, which will be revealed in the next Mortal Broken Realms book. So these two seem to play a big part in that up and coming book. I've got a feeling that her mother and his wife were perhaps murdered by a vampire, leading them on witch hunters.
I wouldn't be surprised. What if that particular person has actually become a vampire? And their ultimate goal is to hunt her down.
Even better.
Would be interesting. Now, don't you think Age of Sigmar would have been much more interesting as a narrative piece if initially they had more characters like this in it? Just from the models. We don't even know the backstory yet.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, we've had sort of loads of Stormcasts, but we've said all along that they need more personality, don't they? They need more likability, more individuality. And it seems like they've responded. Owen Lee says, I want to kit bash the Witch Hunter and the Orc Wig Rider and make Zorko, bracket Zorro. Good idea. Class. Yeah. So what do you think, what are the attributes of a Witch Hunter on the game? Think they've got a good against chaos or undead?
Well, I think they'd be very proficient against undead. Maybe against anything with a keyword like vampire or vampiric, something like that. They get extra damage with their weapons, something along those lines.
Yep.
You'd expect them to be very brave as well.
Yeah.
Can't get much braver, really, can you, than hunting down the most powerful of the undead creatures?
Well, what if you're not fighting undead though? They just become like, I don't know, become pretty useless. Would you? Well, what I'm saying is, would you take these to a tournament?
Well, I think it's a bit early to speculate on that. But would you put them into the ranks of your what are they even called now? Cities of Sigmar.
Yeah, I would, because that's what I'm all about, right?
How many witch hunters have you got? Because we're going to look at some of them in a minute.
I've currently got 3 witch hunters, which 2 of them debuted to phenomenal effect a couple of years ago when me and you teamed up against Stu Gibson's Nurgle Plague Rot army and a huge greater demon of Nurgle rode across the battlefield and annihilated my devoted of Sigmar flagellants. But they were it was taken down by my two witch hunters and a fire wizard, and a single hand gunner. So it was a great combo. Because I think something like they do double damage against great.
Now, of course, Games Workshop have a long history of witch hunters. My first memory of a witch hunter would be this box right here, that sadly I never owned. I did have Warhammer Quest, but I never got any of the expansions for it. But I remember seeing these boxes on the shelves in the Games Workshop store at the time, the individual character upgrades for the game. And of course, that's what the witch hunter looked like. I always thought the sword blade looked comically large at the time.
Yeah. It's
But
an odd
still,
blade, isn't it? It's sort of like a Saracen blade, but
it's an iconic model, and the earliest one I can remember where they associated all these kind of tropes, as far as Games Workshop are concerned anyway, the first time they did all this with a witch hunter. So you got the hat, you got the pistol, you got all the accessories all over the outfit.
now,
Slaying undead.
Where do you think they got these ideas from? Because you might look at the 1960s Hammer House of Horror film, The Witchfinder General, okay, and he's dressed in similar attire. Or you might go back in history and look at the Puritan times of the 17th century England, where it is said witch hunters roamed the land and were contracted to purify towns, cities of anyone with disturbing behaviour. And so that's why you get that sort of puritanical tall hat.
In the old world of Warhammer, there was a lot that was taken from real human history and then made more over the top and fantastical with bizarre monster races mixed into it. But a lot of it very clearly inspired by actual history.
Nice. So that's your Warhammer Quest original Witch Hunter, right?
Yes. I don't know if there was one before then. If there was, I wasn't aware of it because it would have been before my time. But here's a recent depiction of a witch hunter in a Games Workshop property. Of course, we have Victor Saltspire from the Vermintide franchise. And
Amazing.
really captures the essence of the witch hunter, I think.
Yeah. He actually has a glass eye, I believe, in the game. I mean, Vermintide 2, anyway, is the dwarf calls him One Eye. I don't know how he lost his eye.
Probably in a witch hunting incident.
But what I like about Vermintide 2 is that they have different career classes. You know, so you can have your basic witch hunter, which is what we're seeing there. You can have your sort of what's the other one? Sort of a mercenary, sort of like a monster hunter, isn't he? And the third one is my favourite one, and he is like a flagellant, I suppose, isn't he? But he's not called a flagellant. What do they call them?
I can't remember what he's called now, but he's definitely on the path to becoming flagellant. He's extremely
A zealot.
right?
Right?
He's extremely determined in his goal to kind of purify and take out all the evil magics in the world. And you get more of a sense of that than just with a miniature, because obviously you're hearing all his dialogue in the game as well.
Yeah, I think they're definitely missing a trick with Age of Sigmar and the Zealot faction, right? Should make more of it, I think.
I think a PC game spin-off just starring Saltspire on an adventure on his own would be quite interesting.
Yep.
Maybe more of a narrative kind of game compared to the more action of Vermintide.
Like it.
That could be fun.
So you've got more witch hunters, haven't you, for us?
Well, these look familiar.
Ah, these look like mine.
Yes, so which hunters are these?
Well, someone in the chat says, they think a lot of other companies are going to come out with their own witch hunters, but some already have. So that's a TT Combat halfling witch hunter, and he's standing on a pile of bad Squiddo treasure, expertly painted by yours truly. So yeah, this was a Christmas present from Andy 2D6. Which
Top notch.
yeah, I hope you're proud of that, Andy. I think I did a decent job.
Yeah, it's almost in focus in this picture as well.
And you can see that there's two other witch hunters that I possess. One being the classic Games Workshop one, which I think is now out of print, and that's sort of going for quite a decent sum of money now on eBay. But this was a Finecast witch hunter, and yeah, I like it a lot. I did lose the great sword on his back though. It might be somewhere. I might have broken it, but and this is the classic TT Witch Hunter, TT Combat Witch Hunter. It's also plastic,
Flaming hat.
very spindly, but he's got all the Victor Saltspire weaponry there, hasn't he? He's got the what do you call that? Fencing blade. He's got double-handed sword. He's got lots of stakes. He's got holy water, and he doesn't need to carry a torch because he's got candle flame on his hat.
Yeah, it looks like some kind of strange, like, what would it be? Like late 60s, like innovative musical performance with headgear like that.
Kind of Arthur Lee psychedelic stuff, man.
Then I think we've got more pictures. Yeah. Yep, there's a nice one of him. Nice multicolored feather action you've got going on there.
Yeah, I really enjoyed painting the old Empire stuff there. Yeah, really good model that, I thought.
Got here. Is this another one? Yes, we've got them all surrounding a witch now.
Yeah, now here's a point for you, Andy. We don't really have witches in Age of Sigmar. We have witch elves, right? But we don't have witches. Do you think they'll ever come? We've got banshees, haven't we?
I don't know whether they'll have traditional witches, but having said that, they have just given us a lot more traditional undead.
True.
More so than we ever expected. And now, witch hunters, which definitely none of the stuff that we've been shown in the last few weeks would have looked out of place in the old world.
No, I mean, I wouldn't fancy this witch elf's chances right now. She stands defiant, but I think she's about to get shot, fencer blade, and crossbowed in the next few seconds.
I don't know, she could go into some kind of whirling death attack.
True.
Bit of a 360 with the swords and take them all out.
True. I like the idea of having a unit of witch hunters, not just one character in your army.
Do you like the idea of having a whole army of witch hunters?
Yeah. Mercenary witch hunter army. Yeah.
So do you think they're stronger as just a narrative, just a couple of characters thrown into any army, or do you think building a whole faction around them where you've got like the witch hunters as the leaders, they've got their apprentice witch hunters, and then they probably bring along like a ragtag band of peasants with pitchforks who are also angry because there's a vampire in the castle on the hill.
Yeah.
So you could make a faction out of it.
I absolutely love that idea. So you've got your local peasantry, you've got your witch hunters, you'll have some flagellants there, that they've recruited from the local monastery maybe, and you'll have some clerics as well that could bless and do the magics, and probably something like a fire wizard as well.
Yeah, because if you
Just to
think back to depictions of witch hunters in media over the years, they don't usually they usually turn up in town alone, but they don't usually like apprehend the suspected witch alone and put them on trial and then kill them alone. There's normally like an angry mob with them as well that they've riled up.
absolutely, because the witch finder or the witch hunter would need to be paid. They'd have to make a big spectacle of things to make it look as if they were doing a job. And so I think they could have some animals as well. They could have some sort of hounds, that could sniff out any evildoers.
I think that could be the kind of army that I could actually get behind there. Witch hunters as the head of the army and then a load of peasants.
Yeah, you could have a few ogre mercenaries, couldn't you?
You have mercenaries, they're going to have kind of big bodyguard types. Because
Yeah,
when you're
I
walking
think
into
that-
town accusing witches left and right and hunting the evil and dead, you don't just want to be standing there on your own. You need a bit of protection. Some people don't take too kindly to being stabbed through the heart with a stake.
Owen Lee just said, Rem just described the old Pilgrimage of Wrath battalion the devoted of Sigmar used to have. I know, man. I mean, that should have been a whole book in itself, I think. Whole book. There you go. There you go. Maybe it's too close to the real world. I don't know.
Well, it's safe to say there's going to be more witch hunting action, and we're going to keep our eyes firmly on this because something that we're both very interested in, witch hunters, and elements of the old world, that was one of the more fascinating ones, and I'm glad that has made a reappearance. Let's have a look at this. So, now I know you're very disappointed. We're just going to tease you a bit here because you wanted these to be part of Age of Sigmar.
I so did. These could have been Savage Orcs all day long.
But you could still convert them into something, but as you can see there, look, Warhammer 40,000, clearly no sign of Age of Sigmar anywhere, no intention for them to be used in Age of Sigmar, so you're going to have to work your magic on them if you want to use them. It's got a bit of a mechanical leg there, you probably have to remove that.
What are these squids called?
Let's have
Have
a
you got
look.
a name?
So, these are called
Mecha squigs.
a new greenskin subculture have arrived. They are beast snaggers,
Beast snaggers.
and they actually got a name for the big creatures. They probably have in there somewhere.
Oh, beast snaggers, right? But I think these could have been, they could have worked for Age of Sigmar and Warhammer 40k, right?
They could have done, definitely.
Still can, because you can imagine in 40k, like the Imperium might land on a remote planet and it's just inhabited by loads of Savage Orcs. Could be fun.
Indeed. Now, we do have more things to cover tonight, but next, we're going to look at this picture. So, this was posted on our Discord by
Wow.
Cedar, and this is clearly the Knight Azeros. And what's notable about this is that this was made following the tutorial that I made about 6 or 7 years ago on how to make it from the spare bits. And here's a picture of mine as a comparison. As you can see, using a spare prosecutor and spare bits, followed my tutorial and crafted this. All these years later, people are doing it because, of course, the Knight Venator / Knight Azeros was part of the Mortal Realms magazine, I believe, wasn't it, recently?
Yeah, I've got one still in the packet actually. Yeah.
Yeah, so there you go. You can
Yeah.
just follow
Oh,
that
that's
tutorial to make both of them.
Very thrifty of you, Andy. That is.
It is, and that's the kind of content that I want to do more of on this channel, actually. Videos that are going to stand the test of time and going to attract
Now-
viewership after years and years.
Speaking of videos and viewership, after years and years, Andy, who made a video?
Well, that's big news, isn't it? That there's actually a video on your channel.
Yes, Rem returns. I have a video. I go through my latest delivery of Mortal Realms. and it was very successful. I said if I get 100 views, no, if I get 50 views, then I'd start making more. And I think I've got almost 100. And I actually lost a subscriber. So
Someone who
before I
forgot they were
made,
subscribed until you uploaded a video after all these years.
yeah, I had 666 subscribers, and after putting the video out, I've got 665.
Or maybe someone didn't want to
So,
be associated with such an evil number.
yeah, maybe not. But yeah, I'm back in the swing of things. It was actually relatively easy to do more.
It was
Really.
definitely
And
a
I did
throwback to old school Remington videos where you would be like huddled in a cupboard somewhere whispering and reviewing a book.
This is true. This is
Very much like that. So, I'm sure that despite me not asking you for it in advance, you've prepared a tip for the audience in our hot new ongoing segment of
Remington's Hot Tip. Ooh.
Here we go. Give us your top tip of the week.
top tip of the week is know when to cut your losses. So when you're investing in an army, maybe, and you're left holding the bag, a bit like the Bretonian, right? If you're into Bretonians and you were all those years you were waiting for a new book, and then Age of Sigmar came out, and you were kind of not only left on the shelf and left out in the cold, but no prospect of your faction ever being used again, unless you were going to choose a different game system, right? So you were effectively a bag holder. And in investing terms, it's like, I don't know, investing in the newfangled stock, much hyped, and then nothing happens, and the stock price goes down, and you are left holding the bag. So you can either do three things. You can either average down, that is buy more, so your cost average goes down. You can either hold it and be the bag holder, and who knows whether that will pay off in time. Maybe it will. That depends on your conviction, doesn't it? I suppose. Or you can cut your losses and just sell and use that money, if it's money you're talking about, and use it to fund a new project. So basically, you have to have conviction in what you do and what you buy. And if you've got conviction, it can hold you through those dark times of bag holding.
Very concise. Now, we do have The Forest of Rem returning tonight.
Ooh.
Episode 1 of The Forest of Rem Season 3 coming up in just a few minutes. And after that, of course, we have What the Hell Is That? But last week's What the Hell Is That? Actually has a winner. So, I am going to bring up last week's What the Hell Is That? And we'll give Remington a chance to, there you go, see if you can figure out what it is. Before I tell you the solution successfully guessed immediately after the show last week.
There are two miniatures there, or there's just one? I can see a two.
There's just one, but it's two pieces of the same miniature represented.
Oh. The sword hilt looks a bit chaosy. I haven't got a clue, mate.
Well, I can reveal that they are actually parts of a stegodon.
Oh,
This was successfully guessed by Brad.
wow.
So it was the stegodon's horn and one of the spears from one of the skinks on top.
Cool,
So-
man.
Yeah, there's another What the Hell Is That coming up right at the end of the show after the Forest of Rem. But before that, we've got another wildly popular segment, which we haven't created a graphic for yet. But I am going to give you, let's see. There you go. We've got a bit of steam on the screen there because it's time for
Andy's Deep Bar.
Right, it's time for Andy's Deep Bath. So, everyone would like to relax. Feel free to close your eyes to immerse yourself in this moment. Remington, you're going to be closing your eyes and joining in. There
Okay.
you go. Now, imagine yourself in a deep, deep bath. Bubbles aplenty. Steam billows towards your face. This time it's more of a large hot tub with room for plenty of guests. And in fact, if you crack one eye open and look across, while in your deep, deep relaxed state, you can just about make out the figures of the following people surrounding you in the hot tub. You have in there, of course, Cedar, Roshi, him. There's John and Graham just sliding into the tub right now. Look at the relaxation on the faces of nippleless Eric as they join you in there. Maybe get a little bit too close. Have to be told to keep their distance a bit. Got to keep social distance even in the deep bath. What's this? We've got Brad, Barbara and Guy also sliding into the deep bath. This is such a relaxing moment. Allow the heat to wash over you. And what's this? A bubble, not a sinister one, but a social media bubble springing up from the bath. Within it, feel the urge to subscribe to the channel, to join the Discord server. Here comes another bubble, and it contains the Twitter logo. You want to follow me on Twitter? Want to donate all your money through Patreon? Yeah, there are multiple bubbles telling you to do that. In your deep state of relaxation, you're very open to suggestion, to financial suggestion. And now, as the bath winds down, temperature starts to cool, it's time to get out. Everybody safely out of the bath. So, of course, those people who joined us in the deep bath were, of course, all Patreon supporters. That is one of the benefits to supporting this show, this channel, Patreon. Join us in the deep bath. Did you find that relaxing and enjoyable, Mr. Remington?
I did, Andy. Thank you very much for that. Very
And
good.
now, you know what it's time for?
It is time for the Forest of M. Got 10 minutes to go, though. What can we do in 10 minutes?
It's time for this. Dun dun, and here comes the theme music.
In the forest of Rem, in the forest of Rem, where boys become men in the forest of Rem, Andy and Rem in the forest of Rem, in the forest of Rem, in the forest of Rem, is it a chicken or is it a hen? You decide when or when in the forest of Rem. In the forest of Rem. In the forest.
Well, is it a chicken or is it a hen indeed? It's time for season 3. Now, for anyone who's not watched, listened to and absorbed seasons 1 and 2 of Forest of Rim, I'll be quite accepting if you want to pause this video, go back and watch the entire seasons, which are available on the channel in one big chunk. So if you want to watch those first, feel free, because there will be spoilers coming up any second. So to recap, Remington the Everchosen is the bane of the realms, joining forces with the clones of multiple, the essences of numerous different copies of Remington across the realms. And a young Remington rose up to contest the Remington throne against the Everchosen, but eventually decided to be just a wuss and cave in, join chaos, and Remington was able to reign supreme in evil, not good. So twice we've been on adventures with Remingtons. Twice, they've turned away from the side of good and righteousness and joined the forces of chaos for vile, treacherous debauchery. No, Mr. Remington can't even look at the screen during this because he's feeling that guilt all over him from his choices. We enter into a new realm, a mortal realm, the realm of Rem. Remington the Everchosen gained so much power that he was able to fashion his own realm separate from the rest, with a realm gate, a Rem gate, if you will, leading to each of the other realms so that he could spread his vile corruption wherever he wished. Within his encampment of worshippers and acolytes sat a young apprentice, young Rem lad was his name. Very young, very impressionable young acolyte of Remington the Everchosen. Working his way up through the ranks slowly, starting off as a humble, chaotic steed hoof polisher. Now he's advanced up to a chaotic steed fetlock brusher. Where next? Where is the ceiling of power for this young acolyte? This is what we're about to find out. As young Rem lad gathers around the totem, center, realm of Rem, ancient ritual is taking place. Sacrifice. Once per year, a swarm of animals are sacrificed upon this altar, followed by the sacrifice of one being, one kind of higher being, more so than an animal, from each of the realms. Remington dispatches his forces, and they each bring back what they deem to be the superior sacrifice. Some of his followers don't return. They take on too high a goal that can't be accomplished. They attempt to bring back a gargant, for instance, and are trampled underfoot. Young Remlad has yet to be out on one of these adventures. He's a lowly, chaotic steed, fetlock brusher. But he hopes to one day be out there, in the wild, doing his bit, serving his master Remington the Everchosen. However, on this day, the gaze of Remington the Everchosen falls on Remlad, the crowd surrounding the totem. Torches are lit. Darkness all around. All you can see are the torches. Cowled figures chanting rhythmically. And as the gaze of Remington the Everchosen falls on young Remlad, the crowd, will you stand and accept the gaze from your master, or will you bow your head?
I will stand and accept the gaze.
Well, I would like you to roll a dice at this.
Okay. I'm going to roll my famous skull dice. Workshop skull dice. Here we go. Remington! Oh, and he rolled a 1. That's a good sign, isn't it?
Well, as Remington the Everchosen hops down from his mighty chimera, Jeff, he points a long, chaotic, evil finger. And you can tell it's an evil finger because it's got one of those really long nails on it. There's evil, like yellow veins on it, pulsating. It's just an evil finger, take my word for it. Points directly at young Remlad and beckons you. Come here. You.
Okay.
Do you make your way through the crowd, cowled figures?
Yes.
Well, these robed acolytes allow you to pass. They part, lower their heads, they daren't look at you in the eye. lest they perhaps be the next chosen to head up to the altar with Remington the Ever-Chosen, who has a reputation, might I add, as being a little bit of a hothead.
Yes.
It's not unknown for people to be called from the crowd and executed on the spot. This could be a short-lived adventure. As you approach your master, Remington the Ever-Chosen looks down at you. With his toe, that is of course the flesh wand of Slanesh, he taps you on the shoulder with it. Is he merely measuring your neck for a decapitating slice, or is he perhaps preparing you for some kind of evil knighthood? Before you can find out, screams be heard in the backs of the crowd. Something is coming down from above. A blinding light. Your vision is temporarily turned to nothing but whiteness. And you can feel a rumbling. You sense that acolytes and worshippers are starting to flee. Remington the Ever-Chosen takes his magnificent toe off your shoulder and disappears. As your vision slowly starts to return, you grow accustomed to this light. An enormous, mighty hammer strikes down from the skies, crashing into the Remington obelisk, shattering it down its center. Chaos runes spray forth, crushing nearby acolytes as they attempt to flee. Thankfully, nothing lands on young Remlad. Then, as the light starts to dim, you notice a series of smaller lights swarming down like meteors from the sky. Golden-clad warriors with vengeful looks in their eyes. It looks like the invasion of the realm of Rem has begun. What would you like to do, Remlad?
Well, I don't want to polish horses for the rest of my life, so this is perhaps my time. This is my calling. I shall accept whatever original Remington is offering.
Are you going to attempt to fight through the fleeing crowds and stand proud and tall atop the remains of the shattered obelisk? Or are you going to flee with them and try and get to safety?
I think I will flee with them on this occasion until I kind of level up to become any kind of warrior.
Very well, roll the dice.
Okay, it's like safety first, especially in this climate. Remington, I roll a 3.
Well, it's not great.
No.
Remlad is tripped, is partially trampled by the stampeding cowled acolytes, but is able to crawl his way just out of range of the obelisk as it topples, crashes to the earth. This is not a good time to be a worshipper of Remington the Ever-Chosen. It seems like full-on war is about to break out. However, you have an opportunity. You are near the sacred Remington chamber that contains the portals to each of the other realms.
Yes.
Would you like to take one of those portals?
Absolutely. Let's
Which
take one.
one would you like to go for?
I will take. Well, how many are there?
You know how many realms there are.
Oh, I'm going to take. Do they have names or?
They do have names. You should know them all, being a follower of Age of Sigmar lore.
Well, I only got halfway through the video, so I'll take the first one.
Well, do you want me
which
to
is
read
the
them
realm-
all out to you?
Well, I know Realm of Ashki is fire, isn't it? That
So,
sounds interesting.
You could go to Azir, the realm of heavens. Seems like a terrible idea, being an acolyte of Remington the Ever-Chosen. Presumably that's where the Stormcast are coming from, I would imagine.
Yeah.
We've got Shaish, the realm of death.
No, I don't want to go there.
We've got Haish, the realm of light. That doesn't sound too nice either, really.
Okay,
We've got Ulgu, the realm of shadows.
I see.
We've got Shaman, the realm of metal. We've got Gairan, the realm of life. We've got Gur, the realm of beasts.
Yes,
We've got Akshi, the realm of fire.
yes.
We've got Chaos, the realm of the dark gods.
I would like to go to the realm of Gur because it sounds like that's where a lot of beasts reside, and that could be a lot of fun.
Very
I could
well.
definitely.
You crawl
Yes,
your way
brain-
towards the portal, pursued by freshly landed Stormcast Eternals that land in that superhero-like fist into the ground pose right behind
Yes.
you.
Yes.
They're trailing you. They're splattering brains of acolytes left and right. They're just laying waste. They're setting fire to Remington's holy shrines and temples.
Lord.
Just completely sacking his favourite torture chamber, releasing the prisoners. So I'm going to ask you to roll the dice as you head for this.
Okay, I'm going to roll the
Portal.
dice. Remington. I roll a 3. That'll be good.
Well, you do make it to the portal. However, a Stormcast arrow, a magical glowing arrow, is twanged through the air and strikes you on the shoulder as you crash through the portal and land in Gur, the realm of beasts. And as this was merely a prelude to our great adventure, next week pick up and find out precisely what happens to young Remlad as he sets out to either reclaim the glory of Remington the Everchosen, or perhaps redeem himself and set his life on a new path of righteousness now that he's been given this clean slate. Let's find
I've
out.
literally entered the realm of beasts with a wound that will attract lots of beasts hungry for blood and flesh.
That is true, yes.
Okay. Oh well. Yeah.
It's going to be an exciting adventure. It's going to be a roller coaster ride. No longer does Rem begin as a lowly bard. This time he is a lowly evildoer. Keeping
Well,
everyone on their toes.
Sounds exciting.
Sure is. And from next week, it's going to get extremely interactive as well. Got some systems in mind. Maybe stealing one or two things from Witch Coven.
Oh yeah.
Make this a
That was-
truly immersive adventure.
Witch Coven was amazing. I think that was everyone's favourite.
See about that. So, if you've got any suggestions what Remlad might be confronted with, Realm of Beasts, then let us know. And with that, it's time to wrap this one up. It's time for the final What the Hell Is That closes the show. So, we've already thanked all the patrons, of course, in the deep bath earlier. Don't forget to check out all the links in the description, like the video and all that good stuff. And, Mr. Remington, would you like to say farewell? Oh, Cedar says Bad Squids. Yes, I did say last week that we were going to be talking about the Bad Squiddo Kickstarter, but the Kickstarter is actually going live. I think it's going live this week. So we're going to have a special episode on that next week. We'll be talking about that with Annie at length. So keep your eyes on that. Okay, let's bring the episode thumbnail here. Witch Hunters coming at you. Mr. Remington, would you like to say goodnight?
Good night, everyone. Thanks for coming, and I'll see you either on my channel or with Andy once more next week.
It's been an emotional roller coaster, and all that remains to be said at this point, other than stay tuned for What the Hell Is That, is good night out there. Whatever you.
What the hell is that? What the hell is that? Is it a chaos dwarf or a vampire bear? Oh, what the hell is that? What the hell is that? Oh, what the hell is that? What the hell is that? Oh, Only Andy and Remington, Andy and Remy, Andy and Remington know. What the hell is that? What the hell is that? Is it Sigma Speed or Neferata's hat? What the hell is that? What the hell is that? Is it a mangled squig or a sorcerer's rat? Only Andy and Remington, Andy and Remy, Andy and Remington know.